Good evening, guys. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carson. I make all different kinds of videos. Tonight's video is basically going to be my top 10 Islamic book recommendations. Don't mind the baby hiccuping over here. She's a bit grumpy, so if you hear any disruptions, that's why. So yeah, I've been getting requests forever, like since I became Muslim, like 4 years ago, to talk about my favorite Islamic books and things like that, and just different resources. So this video is going to be strictly my top 10 books at the moment, and ones that I've read over time since the beginning. I actually have a blog post on this. I'll link it down below as well, along with all the links of the books, so you can purchase them yourself if you want to. And I'm missing one, and I know I really should just go check my blog post and see which one it is, but I'm just going to link it down below afterward, or add it onto the end once I get there, because I just don't have the time with my baby right now to figure out which book it is, run around my house, go and find the book, and have it for this video. So I'm just going to add it in at the end. Okay, so the first book is Radical Reform by Tariq Ramadan. And this way. So this book I actually haven't read yet. This is the only one of them that I haven't read yet. It was gifted to me by a friend, and he highly recommended it, and I very much trust his literature taste. So from what I know, this book is kind of more politically sort of based, and talks about kind of the liberalization of Islam, and kind of like the watering down of certain things in order to make Islam more pleasing to the West. So if you're into that kind of thing, definitely check this out. You can cooperate for Mama. Are you gonna cooperate for Mama? Are you gonna cooperate? Please? Here, I'll put those up there, and then you can try and get them down. Okay? Okay, so the next one is Reflections by Guy Eaton. And I believe he is a convert as well. Basically, this is compiled, or was compiled after his death by his children, and it's kind of a compilation of different radio interviews that he did, and on different topics of Islam. And it's very good. Like, going through it now, like, I've highlighted loads of stuff. So I don't really know how to explain it. It's a very Sufi perspective of Islam, and kind of talks about different levels of spirituality and faith, and how it pertains to different elements of our lives. And yeah, it's basically just his reflections on life and spirituality, and it's very good. Huge iman booster if you're kind of on the more like spiritual side of Islam. I hate saying it like that, but as far as like if you want to go past the rules and regulations and kind of past that and get to a more spiritual level, I definitely recommend this. So this one is called The Man in the Red Underpants by Abdurrahim Green, also a convert. And I think you can get this on Amazon. I saw a link for it. It's very short, as you can see. It's a tiny book. I read it in like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something. And I don't want to give it away, because the way that it's set up is that the introduction of the book, you don't really know what it's about. And then it kind of opens up to you, and then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But basically this kind of is like a why Islam, and why Islam is credible, and why the Prophet ﷺ is credible, and it puts it in a way that you wouldn't expect. So this book is one of the first 2 books that I ever bought regarding Islam. Obviously, I also got a Quran as well. But yeah, I got it at Barnes & Noble before I converted, and was like in a rush to just grab some books. There's a picture of me when I first started wearing hijab in here. It's a Polaroid. Anyway, yeah, I grabbed it in a rush because I just wanted to get some stuff on Islam, to read some more. I was already pretty much on the verge of converting anyway, but I wanted something like substantial to read, and it's Muhammad by Karen Armstrong. And basically it's just the life of our Prophet ﷺ, and kind of goes through from his birth to Revelation, to the rest of his life, and just kind of talks about everything he's gone through, the struggles he's gone through in a very kind of detailed way. It's very good, but it's also an easy read. So I have another one I'm going to show you on the Sirah of the Prophet ﷺ, but this is a very good kind of like starter introductory one. Ah, are you talking? Are you talking? You cute badoon. Okay, so this one is The Heart of Islam by Sayyid Hussein Nasr, and basically it is what it says, the heart of Islam. So it goes through kind of different things in life through an Islamic lens, from like family to relationships to war, even interactions with other people. I've got another bookmark in here. And this one I've made loads of notes in as well. It's very, very good. Goes through a bit of the history of Islam and different things like that. So it's a very comprehensive, holistic book, and it's also from kind of like a Sufi perspective as well. This is the second of the first two books I got on Islam. So I got, what's it called? I got the book on Muhammad ﷺ, and then I got this book called No God But God by Reza Aslan, and it is amazing. This is arguably my favorite. I've read it like 3 times. It's like a comprehensive look at the faith from beginning to end, from its origins to now. Talks about the spiritual perspective, the political perspective, goes through a bit of the Sirah of the Prophet ﷺ, not as in-depth as some of the other ones, but it does give you a good overview and kind of just takes you from beginning to now, and kind of timelines everything, and is a very kind of logical perspective of Islam, if that's kind of what you're going for, and it's very good. So yeah. Next is Lost Islamic History by Al-Khatib, and this is, yeah, again what it is. Basically talks you through historical aspects of Islam, through the different peoples, I guess, like that it went through. So like the Arabs, the Turks, different things like that, and just yeah, everything from like the beginning to now. And the different empires and kind of how that all played out. I know that's not something I really learned anything about in school, so it's definitely cool if you're into history and different things like that regarding Muslims and Islam. And next is the classic, obviously I'm sure everyone has this book, most people have this book, Reclaim Your Heart by Yasmin Mogahed, and it's very good, and I still even haven't even finished it. And if you've watched any of her talks, it's pretty much like that, talking about how when you give your heart to anything other than Allah first and foremost, you're always going to get heartbroken, you're always going to get hurt, whether it be relationships or material items or things like that. And it just basically kind of walks you through how to reclaim control over your heart, in that you only submit it to Allah first and foremost, and then everything else kind of falls into place by doing that. So very good. And I feel like she's often stereotyped as like, because she's a woman, she's like for women, but to be honest, this would be very, very beneficial for men and women, in my opinion. It's very much speaks to the soul in that way, and yeah, very good read. And lastly is The Sealed Nectar by Safiur Rahman something. So yeah, this is a more in-depth look at the life of our Prophet ﷺ and all of that by a Muslim. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say about that. It's very good, and it just kind of gives you a more kind of critical analysis and looking into a lot more specific events as opposed to a general overview. So if you want a more detailed kind of study version of Prophet ﷺ's life, I would recommend. You see that little foot going down there? I would definitely recommend this one. Okay, so that is all. Again, there's another book that I'm missing. I don't know what it is, but once I look, I'll put it right here and add a bit more description underneath in the description box below. All the links will be down below as well. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Woo, look at that chin. And as well as my blog post, which kind of gives a written version of this video, talking about the different books. If you want any other things like this, let me know. I'll also link, because I get asked a lot which Qur'ans I use. Okay. I get asked a lot which Qur'ans I use, and I used to use 3 different ones. One for reading the English translation, which I still use because it gives a bit of a more detailed translation as opposed to like just word for word translation. So I'll put that one below. And then I used to have one that I would use for transliteration, but I can read Arabic now, so I just use a Mus'haf one, which is basically just any Quran in Arabic. The one I used was, well, I've got like 3, but the one I used was gifted to me from Jordan, and it's got nice big text, which makes it an easy to read one if you're not like a pro at reading Arabic. So yep, that's all, and I'm gonna go wrangle this crazy one now. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum.